Couch Surfers. Chapter 4. When Orville received the call from Bonnie, he wondered if the softness in her voice matched the face, gentle, vibrant, young. He had no doubt she was irresistible like all those girls in the magazines, willing and able to love a man, just like those in the videos. Maybe as irresistible as the last visitor. But he knew something was wrong, and it was something he always feared would happen. He had told her he would have to ask Mother if the other man could stay. Damn there being another man. But to hear her voice again when she called made him fall for her more, with her wondrous tale of breaking down on the road and being robbed in New Orleans. All of this gave him the impression she was a desperate girl, in need of something he could offer. Security, comfort. Those were the things his mother said every woman wanted from a man. Orville slid a clean pillowcase and blanket from the dryer. They were still warm when he set them on the couch. There was no way he would forget to wash the blankets this time. Not like with that last girl. Yet, he was tired of doing laundry and folding, and wished Mother could do all these things again. That's why you need a woman, Orville, to help you. He checked the table for dust and ran his finger along the counters, lampshades, and picture frames. He wasn't going to make the same mistake he did with the last girl. Mother thought it was a good time for a thorough cleaning. He finished the laundry and even dusted the music box this time. He thought of the gun he kept in the drawer beneath the mirror. It was his father's gun. An old one, yes. And I must never see it again. See or touch the gun again. Must leave it there. A woman doesn't like a scary boy. She wants a happy man. That's what Mother says. He twisted the knob on the music box and peeled the curtain from the window. It was the first time he'd heard that tune in years. He felt the cool, foggy air, wet and heavy as he stared out to the garage door and saw the fading blue paint, chipped and peeling. He saw the tall green grass along the dirt driveway, and there were patches of red storm clouds rolling in over the horizon, and the fog was drifting lower, and there was not a house in sight and not the sound of anything through the window screen. All the birds had left for the storm, just the way he liked it. He tried to imagine Bonnie standing by the bird bath, a lovely, flowered dress. Her whisper in his ear. He wanted to shake the silky sound of her voice in his head. Time was on his side now, and he'd only have to wait a little longer until she arrived. But she had said, "I'll let you know if anything changes." Could it? Her voice and those words played over and over in his mind like on a vinyl record where the needle was set on the opening track and stuck. Yes, and he went to the cabinet near the dining table. It had been many years since he'd played a record, and there were some dusty ones in the garage. Yes, the old style of music his father and mother loved, the kind he remembered growing up on. When he stared out to the garage, he remembered what happened to Julie inside there. It was almost 30 years ago when he'd first seen a woman naked. Yes. And then taken the hacksaw to her throat after she'd rejected him. How could I forget Father's hand tearing me back, pulling me away, pulling and pulling until she was gone, off in the distance running. Bonnie caught Ted glancing at her chest a few times. At first she thought it might be a coincidence, but she knew otherwise. He was warming up to her, talking about his past. 31 years old, from Boston. The only child of two parents lost in a car crash when he was 5 years old, left to his Aunt Leslie, who died of cancer a few years ago. He'd been roaming aimlessly ever since, telling wild tales, outlandish ones, so elegant that she even wondered if he was delusional. His parents were French-Canadian, and he knew a few words, not to mention how well he knew French wines and poetry. And that's when she knew he'd loosened up, making her giggle on jokes about all sorts of people. And she didn't know what it was that triggered this charm in her, but she was lost in it, and maybe it was because she'd been falling for him all along. Bonnie asked, "So you were saying that you love poetry?" "I love poets. Yes, but mostly the French ones. He said, lighting another smoke. I'm more into Baudelaire and Rimbaud. Ever read them? No. She couldn't hold back her excitement. Do you have any memorized in French? In French? He exhaled a long drag of smoke, and she fumbled for the pack. All right, here's a little Baudelaire. He flicked his ash out the window, and she smiled. Je veux bâtir pour toi, madone. What's it mean? He waved and glanced again into her chest, those breasts, his ogling, and then she snapped. I saw that. Saw what? I caught you looking at me that way. Tu es belle. He waved his hand. What did you say? She nudged his shoulder and he glanced away. Tell me. Then he leaned in close to light her cigarette. Oh, it's nothing. Come on. Keep your eyes on the road. Then he slid his hand to her leg and she let him keep it there, and she was fighting the urge to reach for it. She wanted to feel his skin and give him love. Why? He sure was handsome, and she liked him, especially those wet black curls hanging over his forehead. Gosh, Bonnie, control yourself, she thought. Get a handle on this. But then his French accent came again when he recited another poem, his breath with a rhythm and rhyme warming her heart. Oh my God, she said. What's it mean? Do tell. He slowly unbuttoned his shirt, chest hairs curling out, and her eyes darted away. All love is tragic. Tragic is all love. Yet, a life without love is an even worse tragedy than one with it, since you truly have neither. Love's a tragedy. What? Don't you get it? Say it again, please. It means without love you don't have life. Profound. It is. You like me, don't you? His eyes came into hers. I do. Yes. Maybe I shouldn't have asked that, she thought. But it slipped right through my lips, without any thought, without any control. She was insecure from saying that, and the air was heavy, and she slid his hand away from her leg, because he was too close now, and she had to let him know, and she had to change the subject. Yes, with a little bit of, why are you headed to West Covina? Long story. I got time. I'm just like anyone else trying to find my way. It's been tough. He rolled his eyes to the window and stared out. Been on this road a while now. In and out of a lot of towns. Met a lot of women like you. Too many. How strange it was for him to say that and look away, she thought. It was less than playful, as if he was hiding some secret in his life, but who isn't? And then there came a long silence, and she saw his discomfort, that endless fidgeting with his hair, and the constant rummaging through his bag for something. What's wrong? She asked. Nothing. Must be something, she said. I'm not your ordinary girl. Sure, I've been with a couple guys, but I've never broken anyone's heart. His eyes left the window. That's reassuring. What do you mean by that? Every woman breaks a man's heart. At least one along the way. It's all right. She slid her hand to his chest and she felt the beat of his heart. His eyes rolled back into his head, lids pinching tight. Been so long since a woman's touched me, or even cared. What happened? Please don't make me remember. Please, not that. I'd forgotten. Put it far back in my mind. Forgotten. And suddenly he began to cower and rock in the chair. She rubbed his back. It's okay. No, it isn't. Don't you remember the poem about tragedy? Remember? He kept rocking in the chair, so restless, and it unnerved her. Something in the change of his mood. Some bitterness from a terrible breakup. Forget about it. The past is the past, and each new moment is born from the last. It's only life, right? C'est la vie? He kept rocking, and his head dropped to his lap. I wanted to kill the other guy. I came real close and almost did. What guy? He didn't listen, his mind racing, caught on the memory. But I didn't kill him. No, I'd never did that. Suddenly his voice went calm and he clutched his hair. I knew better than that. I had enough control to stop myself. What are you talking about? the little shit who stole her from me. He was a friend of mine, a best friend, and then one day I found them together in the bed when she thought I was working. Bonnie glanced into his eyes, and having known him a short time, she cared for him, just like she had her first boyfriend, who was also lonesome and disconnected. Something inside of her wanted to resurrect the sight of joy in his dark brown curls and fragile, sad eyes. And it was those sad eyes that triggered her maternal instinct to heal what was broken inside of him. Something, whatever it was. And she leaned forward, wanting to heal him with her lips, knowing a kiss would work its magic. And she sensed that was what he needed. And when she leaned over, she knew he wanted to kiss her too. Yet something inside her suddenly resisted, and then her eyes twitched, and she pulled back. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Suddenly, the diner sign flashed in the fog, and a van was parked in the lot. An orange glow lit the diner windows and lent a clear view of a waitress standing over a large crowd at a table. The waitress glanced up at them as they pulled into the parking lot. The night was starting to settle in, just as they finally arrived.